Anna Eleanor Roosevelt, better known as Eleanor Roosevelt. She was one of the first ladies. I say first with air quotes because she was the first one to explore what the first lady could do with the power that they had. She was born in 1884 in Manhattan, New York City, in a very, very, very wealthy family. But sadly, her mother, one of her brothers, and her father had both died before she was even a teenager. Her mother died of diphtheria when she was 8 years old. Her brother also died of diphtheria when she was 8. Her father had committed suicide when she was 10 years old. So as you can imagine, as a 10-year-old, and you've lost most of your family, you can see how you could be prone to depression. She was very prone to depression. Her father had made one wish before he had committed suicide, and that was for Eleanor to raise her younger brother, Hal. Hal would later attend a Groton school, which is a kind of like a preschool for college. Eleanor was very blessed with his success. She loved that he was successful and that he could make something of himself. He went on to Harvard and graduated with a master's degree in engineering, and she was super proud. So she couldn't have been prouder of her brother. She loved him very much. When she was 14, she was raised by her maternal grandmother. She didn't really like it there, but it was family. But she did love the attention that they gave her. She craved attention. She loved attention. She always would say that she's the ugly duckling of her family. At 14, she actually writes, and I have a quote right here on this paper. At 14, she writes, "No matter how plain a woman's face, if truth and loyalty are stamped upon her face, all will be attracted." So what she's saying is, even if you aren't the prettiest person on the planet, you can still be attractive if you're very honest and loyal. And she was both of those things. Eleanor, she married her fifth cousin, FDR. I'm pretty sure everyone knows that. She married her fifth cousin, FDR. It's kind of weird. It's a cousin, but things were different back then, so that's interesting. On their wedding day, she was given away by Teddy Roosevelt, which, by the way, was the president then, at that time, on, I believe, it was St. Patrick's Day. They worked around the wedding to get him there, to get him to the wedding. Her mother, FDR's mother, did not like Eleanor at first, tried to postpone the wedding for more than a year, and also took FDR on a cruise to get him away from Eleanor, hopefully squishing the love, the interest there, the romantic interest. But it did not work. They ended up getting married anyway. Eleanor didn't really enjoy having intercourse with her husband, FDR. She always said that there were consequences that she wasn't quite sure that she wanted to have and participate in. But she did, and they actually ended up having 6 children. And I have all of their names on this paper. I could not memorize them all. So they have Anna Eleanor Roosevelt, James Roosevelt II, Franklin Roosevelt, Elliot Roosevelt, Franklin Delano Roosevelt Jr., John Aspen Wall Roosevelt II. Those are all of their kids. She has a quote. She says she doesn't really like motherhood and she wasn't cut out for it. Eleanor didn't. What am I talking about? FDR's mother didn't like Eleanor that much, and Eleanor didn't like her that much either. After they got married, FDR's mother had given them a estate or a house, but a catch there is that their house was attached to FDR's mother's house by nothing but a sliding glass door. Now Eleanor, of course, didn't like that because she would have liked privacy, especially in her own home. She didn't have any privacy in her own home. She hated that FDR's mother was always with her, was always around. FDR's mother had told Eleanor and Roosevelt's kids that she was more their mother than Eleanor was. Eleanor was only there to board them and teach them, but FDR's mother was their mother. She should have been their mother. Moving a few years down the line, Eleanor was unpacking one of FDR's suitcases and found a bunch of love letters from Lucy Mercer, her own social secretary. Now, as you can see, this causes problems between Eleanor and FDR. Eleanor approaches FDR about the love letters and has admitted, and FDR admits to having an affair with Lucy Mercer. So after the affair, their relationship goes from more of a romantic relationship to a political relationship, or a political partnership, rather. Even though their partnership wasn't as romantic as maybe FDR wanted, because FDR was very, not attracted to her, but very interested in Eleanor, because she was a very interesting and a very smart woman. After the affair, she started focusing more on her political career. She had been going out more and talking on his behalf, especially after he had been diagnosed with polio and lost control of both of his legs. She would go out and she would speak on his behalf, campaign for him basically, until he became president. She campaigned for him when he was running for governor of New York, and then also campaigned for him when he was running for president. A couple years down the line, or many years down the line, I lied. FDR had actually died of a neurological disease, but Eleanor remained in politics for much longer after his death. Actually, remained in politics until her death. At the time, she was one of the most controversial first ladies to ever be in office. She talked a lot about racial issues and women's rights as first lady, as she was the first lady to have her own daily column in the newspaper, weekly column in the magazine, a weekly radio show, and she was one of the first ladies to speak at a National Party convention. That's a lot of stuff for her to do first, and that's not even all that she did first. That's just some things that she did first. She advocated a lot for the World War II refugees, trying to make America more of a melting pot. Because at the time it really wasn't, because there was a lot of racism going on because of World War II. Like Japan, no one liked the Japanese, no one liked the Chinese, no one liked the Germans, no one liked the Italians. And there was a lot of racism going on, and she wanted to get rid of that and make America more of a melting pot. That was one of her goals. And as we move through her political career, there's so much that she did. I can't fit it all into a video, but she pressed for the United States to join the United Nations, or the UN. She actually served in the United Nations Commission on Human Rights for a few years. She was the first chair on the Presidential Commission of the Status of the Woman. She was one of the best first ladies that we've ever had. She had changed and altered the role of first lady, and without Eleanor Roosevelt, without FDR, this country would not be the same, not even close. Racial issues might still be lagging behind, along with women's rights, and everyone knows that we want women's rights and that we want civil rights. We want equal rights for everybody. It's in the Constitution, for frank's sakes, man. So if it wasn't for Eleanor Roosevelt and FDR, then we wouldn't have the progression that we have. We wouldn't have gotten out of the hole that we were stuck in during the Great Depression, and we wouldn't see the First Lady taking a little bit of control of the presidency like they should be able to. Thank you, Eleanor Roosevelt. Thank you for everything that you did for this country, and thank you for being such a great First Lady.